All right, welcome to our third video on how to play chess. In this video, we're going to talk about the king and the queen and how they move. So if you're looking at the board, the king and the queen are in the center of the pieces on either side. The king always has a little cross on the top of his crown, and the queen typically has these pointy knobs around her crown. And you'll see that on the actual physical pieces that you play as well. So the reason that we're taking the king and the queen together is not because they are the king and the queen. It's not because they're the two most valuable pieces on the board. It's because they really have similar move patterns. So we want to talk about those. So let me clear this board, and we will talk about the king first. So the king is the most valuable piece on the board. When you lose the king, you've lost the game. And at the end of the game, you don't actually lose the king. You just shake hands and say good game, and the game's over. But when your king is threatened and you can't move him to a safe square, we call that checkmate, and the game is over. So the king can move in any direction one square, and like all the pieces, but not like the pawns that we just talked about, the king moves and captures in the same direction. So if the king can move to a square and there is a piece of the opposite color, then the king can capture that square. So let's see if we can show that here. Let's just take the king and capture that pawn. So very, very simple. So we'll clear the board, and we'll also talk about the queen. Now the queen is just like the king. She can move in any direction, but instead of moving one square at a time, she moves as many squares as she desires, with a couple of caveats. Queens and kings, but kings can only move one space, but queens cannot jump pieces. So if there was, let's say, a knight here, her knight, she could only go one space here, because that knight would be preventing her from going the rest of that distance. But she could go in any direction. So and we've clicked there. All right, so she can go up and down along the files. She can go left to right across the ranks, and she can go diagonally. And this was what makes her the most powerful piece, because of her range and how she can move in an unlimited fashion. So keep clicking that one. So again, the king can move in any direction, but only one at a time. And the queen can also move in any direction, but she can move as many as she wants until she encounters a piece that she's going to take, or one of her own pieces. All right, that's it for the king and queen. We'll come back for the bishop and the rook.